Do you remember the first time you saw a Toyota Supra fly past you on the highway, or the unmistakable growl of a Skyline GT-R echoing through a late-night city street? The 1990s weren't just another decade. They were the decade. A time when Japanese automakers didn't just build cars, they built dreams on four wheels. This wasn't just about performance or tuning potential, it was a cultural shift. A moment where the underdogs from the East redefined what it meant to be a car enthusiast. And if you were there, even just on the sidelines, you know exactly why 90s Japanese cars were pure, unfiltered perfection. Economic boom and a new era of innovation. To understand why Japanese cars of the 90s were so revolutionary, we must first look at Japan's economic landscape in the late 80s and early 90s. The 1980s saw Japan become an economic powerhouse, fueled by rapid industrialization, technological advancements, and global exports. The automotive industry, a key component of Japan's economic strength, led this boom. Major manufacturers like Toyota, Nissan, Honda, and Subaru had already made their mark, but the 90s were when they truly came into their own. The economic bubble of the late 80s gave car companies more resources and the freedom to innovate without the financial constraints that many Western automakers faced. With high demand for cars, Japanese automakers knew they had to push the boundaries to maintain global dominance. It was a time when they weren't just competing for market share, but striving to create the best, most reliable, and most exciting cars. The pursuit of perfection wasn't just about selling more cars, it was about making a statement. Japan wanted to prove it could build performance cars that rivaled the European and American giants. They did this with a unique approach, blending cutting-edge technology with affordability to create vehicles that weren't just fast, but delivered an unforgettable driving experience. Why Japanese cars were ahead of the curve? The 1990s were a time when the car industry was undergoing a massive technological transformation, and Japanese automakers were at the forefront of that change. While American and European manufacturers stuck to their traditional methods, Japan embraced innovation in a way that few others could. The key to this innovation was the integration of advanced technology into every aspect of a car's design, from the engine to the suspension, to the electronics that controlled it all. One of the most significant advancements during this period was the widespread adoption of turbocharging. Cars like the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution and Nissan Skyline GT-R used turbocharged engines that provided incredible performance in a compact, relatively affordable package. These engines were not only powerful, but also incredibly reliable, thanks to Japan's obsession with precision engineering. The ability to extract so much power from small, efficient engines marked a key difference between Japanese and European muscle, which often relied on larger displacement engines for similar power outputs. Additionally, Japanese automakers revolutionized all-wheel drive systems. The Subaru Impreza WRX STI and Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution were designed with all-wheel drive systems that offered unparalleled traction, especially in harsh driving conditions like wet roads or snow. This technology, originally developed for rally racing, found its way into everyday vehicles, making them not only faster but also safer and more practical. Another technological marvel from the 90s was the rise of the VTEC, variable valve timing and lift electronic control system, introduced by Honda. The VTEC system allowed an engine to operate efficiently at low speeds and provide incredible power at high RPMs, which was perfect for both daily driving and spirited driving on winding roads or the racetrack. This innovation, combined with Honda's legendary reliability, made cars like the Honda Civic Type R and the Integra Type R stand out in a way that few others could. In terms of design, Japanese manufacturers began integrating electronic systems into nearly every part of their cars. Cars like the Nissan 300ZX and the Mazda RX-7 featured advanced electronics that controlled everything from fuel delivery to suspension settings. These systems allowed for more precise control over the vehicle, improving both performance and comfort. The result was a car that felt like an extension of the driver, responding to every input with remarkable accuracy. How racing shaped road cars. Japanese automakers have long understood the importance of motorsport in developing and marketing their vehicles, and the 1990s were no different. For years, Japan had been dominating in various motorsport disciplines, most notably in rally racing and touring car championships. Brands like Mitsubishi, Subaru, and Toyota weren't just making cars for the street. They were making cars for the track. And the lessons learned on the racecourse were immediately translated into their consumer vehicles. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, for example, was born from Mitsubishi's success in the World Rally Championship. The Evolution's turbocharged engine, all-wheel drive system, and lightweight chassis were designed to handle the brutal conditions of rally racing, but they were equally at home on the streets. Similarly, the Subaru Impreza WRX STI used technology developed in motorsports to create a street car that could take on the world's most grueling rally stages. Perhaps the most famous example of motorsport influence in the 90s was the Nissan Skyline GT-R. The R32, R33, and R34 GT-R models weren't just fast. They were engineering masterpieces, packed with technology and performance features that were honed on racetrack. The Skyline GT-R's ATESA all-wheel drive system, its Supra HICAS four-wheel steering, and its advanced electronics all came from years of Nissan's racing experience. The R32 GT-R, in particular, became known as Godzilla in the Australian Touring Car Championship for its dominance over European and Australian competitors. This wasn't just a car, it was a weapon on wheels, built for precision, speed, and ultimate control. The influence of motorsport on the 90s JDM cars can't be overstated. Without racing, the technology that made these cars so special wouldn't have evolved the way it did. Cars like the Toyota Supra, Nissan Skyline, and Subaru Impreza WRX weren't just built for enthusiasts, they were built for champions. Cars that defined a generation. While there were many incredible Japanese cars produced during the 1990s, certain models became legends, defining not just the decade but entire generations of car enthusiasts. Each one of these cars was a reflection of Japan's unique approach to performance, technology, and design. The Toyota Supra Make-4 is perhaps the most iconic of all. Powered by the indestructible 2JZ GT engine, the Supra became the tuner's dream car. It wasn't just fast, it was capable of reaching unimaginable levels of power with just a few modifications. The Supra's sleek design, combined with its legendary reliability and performance potential, made it the car of choice for anyone looking to build a street machine or a track day beast. It was the car that defined the tuner culture and has remained a symbol of JDM excellence for decades. The Nissan Skyline GT-R, particularly the R32, R33, and R34, were also icons in their own right. The R32 GT-R, known as Godzilla, was a technological marvel that revolutionized the concept of street performance. With its ATESA all-wheel drive and Supra HICAS four-wheel steering, it set a new standard for handling instability. The Skyline GT-R wasn't just a car, it was a force of nature. Then there was the Mazda RX-7 FD with its lightweight, rotary-powered engine. The RX-7 was a car that felt like an extension of the driver. It wasn't about raw power, it was about balance, agility, and the thrill of driving. The car's unique Wankel rotary engine, which revved freely and sang a distinctive high-pitched note, made it a favorite among driving purists. The Subaru Impreza WRX STI and Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution were rally-bred street cars that brought the excitement of motorsport to the everyday driver. With their all-wheel drive systems, turbocharged engines, and handling prowess, these cars became synonymous with performance and thrill. The WRX STI, in particular, captured the imagination of drivers around the world, and its iconic blue and gold livery became a symbol of motorsport success. Tuning culture and the legacy of JDM perfection. One of the most enduring legacies of 90s Japanese cars is the tuning culture that they spawned. Cars like the Nissan Silvia, Toyota Supra, and Honda Civic became blank canvases for enthusiasts looking to modify, enhance, and personalize their vehicles. The aftermarket scene in Japan during the 90s exploded, with performance parts flooding the market. Turbo kits, aftermarket exhausts, wide-body kits, and custom wheels became staples of the tuning culture. These cars weren't just built by manufacturers, they were built by their owners who poured their hearts and souls into making them faster, more powerful, and more unique. This culture didn't just stay confined to Japan, it spread across the globe, fueled by video games like Gran Turismo, movies like The Fast and the Furious, and an ever-growing community of car enthusiasts. The influence of 90s JDM cars can still be seen in the modern tuning culture. These cars became more than just transportation. They became expressions of personality, creativity, and passion. Why 90s JDM cars will always be special. The 90s were a time when Japanese automakers proved that performance, reliability, and affordability could coexist. The cars built during this decade weren't just machines, they were reflections of the era's spirit. They embodied the perfect blend of technology, craftsmanship, and excitement. They were accessible yet exotic, powerful yet practical, and they still hold a special place in the hearts of car enthusiasts today. As we look at the world of cars today, it's clear that the golden age of 90s Japanese performance is gone, but its influence is still felt. These cars may have been born in an era of innovation and economic optimism, but their legacy is eternal. Whether you're behind the wheel of a Supra, a Skyline, or an RX-7, you're not just driving a car, you're driving a piece of history. A history that proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that 90s Japanese cars were, and always will be, peak perfection. If you've ever been behind the wheel of one of these legends or spent countless hours tuning one in a video game, you already know the magic they carry. And if you haven't experienced it firsthand, maybe it's time to take a closer look. The 90s JDM revolution wasn't just a phase, it was the peak of automotive perfection. If you enjoyed this dive into the glory days of JDM, make sure to subscribe for more in-depth explorations of the cars, culture, and engineering that forever changed the automotive world.